everyone, welcome to my channel where today I will be doing a previous request to show the cards, the deck my grandmother, my mother, and my aunt used to tell fortunes. But the deck that I am showing you is not my grandmother's cards. My aunt still has her mother's cards. These were a gift from my father who purchased these at a garage sale around 1991, 1992. I don't recall exactly, but there is a very interesting connection and story between my father and the Gypsy Witch cards that I will share on my second interview with Carla on Carla Astrology, which is scheduled for March 18th at 1 p.m. So if you want to know the rest of the story, please join us for that discussion. These are so different than what I recall of my grandmother's cards, and of course this has got to, there's no date, but I would say 1992, something like that. It's United States Playing Card Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Again, no date, not even in the little booklet. This does not come to memory. I do not remember this little booklet in the hands of my mother or my aunt. And how they are different, my goodness. The card stock, much different. And the most obvious and kind of discerning is the cards, I believe, were a little bigger, and it was a midnight blue. Deep midnight blue, almost entrancing, with like little gold speckles. They could have been little stars. And the silhouette of the witch and the cauldron and the cat was larger and more defined. So these cards have really gone down in the eye-appealing mysticism that I remember being at awe with. The other thing I'm going to bring to your attention before we cover some information about the creator, which is Marie Anne Lenormand, we'll talk a little bit about her, is how when you do a reading, this I recall very specifically, you took out, if it was a man, you took out the Two of Hearts, card number 19, and you took the Queen out of play. You didn't put it back. And this was, of course, the significator or the querent, and all the rest of the cards went around. And you could do 16 cards or you could do all the cards. It was a short layout or a long layout, and my mother and my aunt always did a long layout, took out all the cards in the deck. Now there's 52 because it is with the traditional playing cards. And also what's also fascinating, and this is from the little booklet. I do not recall my mother or my aunt doing this, but this little booklet says that the Joker is in there, and what you do after you take out the two cards, card number 18 and 19, that you flip the cards over and you count them until you come to the Joker card. If there was a card that had an even number, then it indicated that this reading was going to be quite positive and very beneficial for the querent. If it was an odd number, it indicated that the querent was going to have difficulties and there could have been some challenges that were going to be revealed. And that kind of set the tone, I guess, for the reading. Again, I do not recall my mom or my aunt taking the Joker. They did take the Joker card out, though. I do recall that. There's two. There's one that says extra Joker. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Anne Marie Lenormand. And she died in 1843, and it was at that time that her name was put on several of the GYPSY deck. And she had a very popular deck, and that was called the Petite Lenormand. And in there, instead of 52, there were 36 cards, and it did resemble somewhat of the tarot cards. But she was quite a lady, a fascinating lady. She sold books. She was known as a fortune teller, very famous fortune teller, of course, born in France during the Napoleonic era. She was born in the 1700s, late 1700s, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And she was known as a cartomancy reader, a fortune-telling reader. There must have been a difference at that time because the information that I found listed her as both. And also, she was known as a necromancy, Mancer, macromancer. I looked that word up, and what it means is someone who practices magic and is known as a wizard or a magician. So with all that fascination, finding that out, I said, I gotta look at her date of birth and let's play around with it a little bit, putting it in the Pythagorean triangle. She was born May 27th, 1772, and I said, oh my gosh, 3 sevens. We know that they're gonna fall down here at the base of the Pythagorean triangle. Her life path is 13-4, and her birth number is 9. The birth number is taken from adding 2 and 7, which of course 9 up here is Neptune. So you can see with the double 2s and all of the 7s that the 7s we know can be dual. It can be very scientific, and it also can be the very mystical. Well, it is going to be the very mystical for her as we know her history and her character and what she's created, as well as the 7s in the Pythagorean triangle is going to talk about Saturn, which is wisdom. Her wisdom probably came back from other lifetimes when we have these 3 7s. And she certainly worked on her gut instinct. She wasn't analytical only in the aspects of the information that she gathered from the occults, and as a magician, what she learned, she put into practice, but her ability to learn came from her Gemini sun sign, which is very strong, as well as the 13-4, which is going to add the 3 here, and the 9 date of birth, 9 here, and gives her that knowledge, that analytical ability to take that wisdom from the past and create it with the 13, the 3, and bring it into form. 4 is making it practical. The 4 is also related to the number here, Mercury. Mercury, again, is the co-planet of Gemini. So it all blends in that what she did, she put into form, certainly by doing the Lenormand decks, creating them. For some reason, she also delved into selling books, which is very analytical. But you can see these 777s and the double 2s, the unconscious, the unknown, her gut instinct, and what she did with that information that she discovered. Okay, so let's talk about this a little more. And just to recap, the Gypsy Witch, definitely fortune-telling cards, and as I said, I don't see any striking, maybe one card to the tarot. We know that the tarot is based on the modern day playing cards, and the suit of hearts is our cups. The diamonds are pentacles, the clubs are wands, and of course the spades are swords. But the elements, when I look at these cards, really have no corresponding. And when I say the elements, we know that the cups were feeling. There's a little bit of that, but more so in the pentacles than there are in the hearts. There is strife connected to the spades, and the lucky cards, the fortunate cards, are definitely the wands, the clubs, which we know about the fire, the inspiration. So, and right away, I want to kind of lay the groundwork here. This is the bottom of the box, and you have card number 8 of diamonds, card number 44, and immediately you see the broken glass foretells ill luck for long years, if nearby, but it distance death of a friend. And the reason I bring this up is because these cards are very specific as far as telling you whether there's going to be major illnesses, death, possible death, calamity. They tend to be more negative than they are positive, and everything revolves around the significator, because when you lay out the cards, and again, my mom and my aunt laid out all the cards, it has to do with how far away the cards are from the coroner, which way they are facing, whether they are facing them on the right side or the left side, really determines, as well as other cards around, how to read these cards. So let me see where we want to start. Well, we're going to start in the beginning then. Let's just turn these over. This is the 8, and make sure you can see these well. Yep, you can. So there's our significator. And the railroad tracks, railroad sign, again, clubs, was quite positive, but if it was next to the clouds, and the cloud card, I believe, is a spade, I don't recall, but that we really make note of where that is, because they reference, if next to the cloud, how to read it. Now you do see the sun, so this would be very positive next to, if it was this card laying here. So let's go through these. The fox, you have to be careful. Someone may be spying on you, untrusting. The 3 of hearts, the sun card was very positive. It depended, again, how far or how near. The fish had to do with prosperity, the stock market, again, how near or far. I think also, yep, the moon card is a good card, but if it's far away, someone is going to be telling your secrets. The 6 of hearts was a beautiful card, having to do with home, but I think it also said if present condition is unpleasant, the future will be happy, and you will be protected. Also predicts marriage. So yes, it has to do with the heart. The Stokes really didn't have to do with children, but it had to do with change of residence for the better, depending on and when that change would happen. So there's movement, again, determines how close or far it is away. The cats, they indicate flattery if it's near number 6. Now, these cards all have numbers, and that's how you can tell. So the interpretation differs depending on the cards nearby. This is long journeys. This is happy. And Now, this is the card that I said does mirror the 10 of Cups in the tarot because it is the bouquet of flowers. That means you have a happy home, things are beautiful, and it also says if it is near children, then there is even more prosperity and contentment. And if you recall, the 10 of Cups is a card with the rainbow and the house and the children. So I do see that similarity there. Here we have the book. This is can indicate knowledge and prestige. Anytime you have the wine, that is celebration, but it could be clouded depending on if you have some detriment clouds. The bear is a sign of success. Also speculation. The swords were not so good. This could indicate personal assault. Your life may be in danger. The star card was indicating things were good, but if it was far away, then it would dampen the fortune of the individual. Pigs, you had to be careful about where it was next to. If there were other people around, there was deception. Somebody could be talking about you. The eye, the eye, let me read this. The eye when near denotes great interest taken by friends. When distant, it signifies suspicion. The coffin. Now again, this talks about death. So the fortune telling of that time did possibly predict death. The coffin, the broken window that I saw on the bottom of the box, that's another card, so you don't want those two near each other. This had to do with illness, but recovery, the mouse, depending on how far or near, and if it was next to good cards. Okay, here's the cloud card. This is the 7 of spades. So again, you don't have clouds here, but you have clouds there, and where it was next to, and it even lists more cards in order for us to interpret it. The mountains were always a good thing, acclaim, good information, prosperity. When you had roses, it indicated beauty and a healthy constitution, a healthy life. That was the rose. This predicted quarrels, disagreement. The shepherd always indicated love in your life and contentment. This was amour. You were looking for love, the possibility of marriage and finding it, or good friendships. Whenever we saw the wedding, the woman in a wedding dress, you wanted that. Depending where it was, you would have a marriage. If it was next to the clouds or cards that were detriment, then you might have a divorce, an unhappy marriage. Here we have the railroad forecasting long journeys if it's near 44, and a serious accident if it's near card 29. The trees were always good health, fulfillment, and high hopes. The key, again, back to the clubs, they seem to be fortunate. And this was a lot of success. And anything, if you had the key next to an unlucky card, the key would negate it. So you wanted to have that card. Here you had the clover leaf, and that always was a good sign. But if it was next to the clouds, it tempered it. The lightning struck with sudden changes, things you weren't looking for, bad luck, also ill health. And the lilies foretold a happy life, but family sorrow if surrounded by the clouds or lying above the significator, again with negative cards around it. So even though they're beautiful lilies, it depends on where they are. And the snake always indicated calamities and also bad things happening at home. The park always foretold love, good family, good fortune. That's the 9 of clubs. And the tower was, if it was surrounded by clouds, would indicate sickness and also possibly death. The 3rd card that talks about death. This was a medal of honor, accomplishments, getting recognition. The ring told about if you were looking for marriage, but if it was this part heading towards you, it was positive, but if the ring was this way, then it indicated divorce. The shaking of the hands talked about your surroundings being too close. Friendships were conflicting. So if it was farther away from you, then it indicated that there was more freedom. You were breathing a sigh of relief. The birds were always misfortune. Watch out for your enemies. People could be talking about you. Secrets could be revealed. The safe was always another one. It indicated if the door, like let's say it was here, the door is open, there is going to be riches and fortunes. If it was over here, the door closed, it would indicate that whatever you had, you may lose your fortunes. The dog always represented a true friend. When it was a distance by the clouds, beware of, hold on, what did it say? Beware of suspicious people. The anchor was always success in ventures. Things were grounded, things were solid, so that was a good card. The lions always indicated strength, courage, fertility, and of course that really has to do with our 8 or the strength card in the tarot with the lion. And the 7 of diamonds, the flames from the heart, was really good fortune, but if it was next to the cloud, your luck was about ready to run out that quick. Here is the broken glass, the card that we were talking about at the bottom of the box. So that's illness and sickness and possible death, bad luck, broken glass. And the 9 of diamonds, that was the heart, and that signified great love and great joy, thank goodness. Here we have the Seth. This was important, as well as reaping what you sow. Maintain your bounty. This had to do with the writer signifying news, information. Boy, that certainly reminds us of the Knight cards, if we think about that in the suit of Knights in the tarot. Here's that, children, that I was alluding to with the 10 of Cups that reminded me of the 10 of Hearts that reminded me of the 10 of Cups in the Minor Arcana Tarot, where you had the pot of flower. Here are the children, again signifying joy, happy life. And of course, the last card is the letter, and the letter is a sign of good tidings when near, and when touching indicates unexpected good fortune. So the King of Diamonds was very lucky. All right, folks, that kind of wraps it up. Thanks, everyone, for joining me today. Appreciate it. It was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.